on the effectiveness of UK sanctions. Hi, Neil.
Good morning.
Let's start with the sanctions then, Neil. Exactly where are we with who has been sanctioned so far by Britain? And is it as world leading as we are led to believe?
Well, I think it's important. There's several strands to this. There are asset freezes that have been imposed on individuals. There are export controls that have restricted the ability of UK, European, and US firms to export technology and component parts to Russia. And there are financial sanctions too on Russian institutions, in particular the Central Bank of Russia, which is the really big deal. This is unprecedented, the sanctions on Russia's central bank. Only in the past has the US and Europe sanctioned the central banks of Iran, Venezuela, and North Korea. So that gives you a sense of the company Russia is now keeping. In a way, from a macroeconomic perspective, from the perspective of the economy, the sanctions on individuals, those asset freezes, do not have a big effect on the economy. What really matters is the coordinated action between the UK, Europe, and the US, particularly on the financial sector in Russia and on the central bank. And that is going to inflict deep pain and indeed is inflicting deep pain on Russia.
And I suppose there's that difference, isn't it, between what is the purpose of it? Is it going to ultimately make any difference to Putin? It feels like we're past that point now. But is it going to seriously crack down on those and just essentially it's not deterrent anymore? It's punishment. Punish those who've enjoyed for perhaps too long the freedom to make a lot of money from their alliances with Putin.
Exactly. I think there are two things happening here. There's the punishment of individuals and the sense that for too long this has gone on and we're no longer going to put up with this. But then there's also a more general punishment of the Russian economy. And that's what's affecting ordinary Russian citizens. So we're going to see inflation there surge. You think we have an inflation problem in this country? Well, it's going to hit 20%, perhaps even more in Russia. The ruble's lost more than half of its value. The economy, in my best judgment, is going to contract by about 10% this year. So there is a huge economic hit underway to Russia's economy.
Is this a sort of bump in the road and over time it'll be business as usual?
Well, I think it's always difficult to see what turns out to be an era-defining change in real time. So I think the jury's still out on that one. I think what has certainly been the case is there's been a perceptible shift, and I think there will be an era-defining change in our attitude to Russia. I think our economic and financial relationship with Russia is going to be very different going forward. The same goes for Europe, by the way, and I think it's going to have the effect of pushing Russia into greater economic and financial isolation. So I think whether or not it changes our relationship with quote unquote dodgy money, I'm not sure, but I think it does fundamentally change our relationship with Russia, and to the extent that it pushes Russia further away from Europe in an economic sense and perhaps closer towards China.
Neil Shearing, really good to speak to you from Capital Economics. He's going to be giving evidence later to the Treasury Select Committee on the effectiveness of UK sanctions. Also, Susan Hawley from Spotlight on Corruption. Thanks very much for joining us. We also heard from John Penrose, the government's anti-corruption czar, and before that, Oliver Burlow, the author of the book Butler to the World. And we'll, of course, keep across everything that happens with the economic crime bill throughout the day here on Times Radio. The House of Commons sitting from 2:30. We don't think there are any planned statements, not that we've heard anyway from the House of Commons. So the debate on that bill should get underway at around 3:30. So with probably from John Pienaar. With Times Radio Drive from 4 o'clock today, we'll bring you exactly what's happening in the House of Commons with that. Right, coming up next in the next half an hour, Mariella will be here with with the coffee break. So it's your 5-minute warning. Get your phone out. Let me know your reasons to be cheerful.